Imagine a river so wide and so violent that it has completely torn away the only bridge leading home. You're standing on the bank, watching the path you used to walk crumble into the current. There's no jumping this gap. There's no swimming it. To even try would be to lose everything to the weight of the water. We find ourselves on this side, while God is on the other. This gap is the result of every rebellion that washed away our connection to our Creator. Living on this edge creates constant anxiety, bleeding into our relationships and our purpose. But God didn't leave us on the bank. He stepped into the mess as a master architect, coming to earth as Jesus to rebuild what was lost. He didn't just shout instructions from the other side. He came down into the flood itself, to physically bridge the gap between heaven and earth. Rebuilding this path required a design that could handle two massive, conflicting pressures at the exact same time. For the bridge to hold, it had to account for both God's justice and God's mercy. First is justice, the unbending rule that wrongdoing carries a cost to be paid in full. Alongside it is mercy, God's relentless desire to bring us home. On the cross, these two pillars lock together, forming a foundation that can never be swept away. By satisfying the debt and offering forgiveness, He made it logically possible for us to be at peace with God once again. Now that the structure is sound, we finally have a safe place to stand, even when the daily stresses of life are rising around our feet. We often try to build our own sense of calm out of things like money or career success, but those supports are like building a bridge out of paper. The moment the weather of life turns sour, they dissolve. The peace Jesus offers doesn't depend on your circumstances. It's built into the architecture itself. When you know your connection to God is secure, the internal panic starts to subside. You aren't constantly worried about falling because you trust the ground you're standing on. You are standing on a structure that cannot be shaken, even while the water is still high and the wind is still cold. As we walk this path, we realize we aren't alone. We find ourselves walking alongside people we used to consider complete strangers, or even enemies. Usually, we let things like background, or our politics, or our income keep us divided. But on this bridge, you realize the person next to you needed the exact same mercy to get here that you did. When you both rely on the same foundation to save you, the old divisions lose their power. You're no longer defined by where you're from, but by the architect who brought you both here. Real unity happens when we find a common ground that is bigger than our differences. If we zoom out, we can see that much of the world is still struggling in the water, caught in the middle of ongoing wars and suffering. These conflicts persist because the human heart is still prone to the same selfishness that washed away the first bridge. But the peace Jesus established is designed to scale. Starting with one heart, it reaches every corner of the map. By reconciling individuals, He reconciles the world. One day, His government of peace will cover the earth as completely as the water once did. Jesus is the Prince of Peace because He does the work of an architect. He restores our link to God, stabilizes our minds, and builds a new community that will encompass all of creation. The structure is finished and the debt is paid. All that's left for you to do is step onto it. Prince of Peace isn't just a title. It's a description of the world He is building, one stone at a time.